like Jim, who typically utilizes these situations as photo ops. Within an hour, the photo was on TMZ, and the headline said it all. Where Jim never showed up, Chrissy's new boyfriend did. The photo left a lasting impression on fans. Marcus finished it easily in less than 2 minutes, and Jim Jones, the guardian for 20 years, just became more critical. Blogs revived old recordings of Jim disregarding Chrissy's pleas, skipping therapy, and avoiding talking about his wedding, which TikTok then put into a viral montage. The fresh image of Marcus with the caption, "This is the man she begged Jim to be," caused the comments to explode in anger when Mama Jones went live again. It was obviously emotional this time. "I have never disliked Chrissy, you see," she added, holding her wine glass tighter than ever before, her voice cracking. "That woman whom I admire dedicated 20 years of her life to raising my child. It's the wound that doesn't heal, though, and this child has a different father. I don't care what no one says. Jim wasn't designed to endure this kind of pain." Her comments just made things worse. Team Jim supporters surrounded him, accusing him of being publicly degraded and deceived, not only by Chrissy but by the producers who orchestrated the reunion ambush. The dispute was no longer limited to two lovers, but Team Chrissy supporters replied, saying that she owed Jim nothing after decades of unmet promises. When Jim finally broke the dot, whole fan bases became involved, each convinced that their stance was valid. "They always told me that the people you love the most will cut you the darkest," he said late one evening with a blank screen and a mysterious story. In a matter of minutes, it was shared hundreds of times, and fans speculated endlessly. The most horrifying theories claimed that it wasn't a diss at all, while some thought it was a barb at Chrissy or the creators. Insiders speculated that Jim was not eating, but it was a cry for help since he had been cooped up in his studio for 3 days, speaking very little and sleeping very little. He punched a hole in the wall when he heard Marcus's name, according to one tale, then broke down in tears when he saw Chrissy's Instagram post. The man who was once the pinnacle of Harlem toughness was crumbling in front of everyone. And now it was more than rumors. Pain was palpable. But Chrissy, she didn't look back. A few days after she revealed she was pregnant, she and Marcus flew to Miami for a quiet getaway, and paparazzi captured them walking barefoot on the sand. Chrissy giggled uncontrollably, and Marcus carried her footwear as if he only cared about her comfort. The picture's caption said it all: peace after 20 years of chaos. The tranquility didn't last, though, as Jim wasn't satisfied with staying silent forever. The morning after Chrissy's beach photos went viral, a heartbreaking snippet of a new Jim Jones song appeared online. The lyrics make mockery of Chrissy's pregnancy, and the song featured a slow, unsettling beat that was brimming with pain. "I put the post myself, but she is carrying another man's seed while wearing my ghost. You build a house with him." They say the tale is that there was no ring for 20 years. The followers were shocked, though, because she didn't recall all the nights I prayed for herself. Others accused Jim of trying to influence public opinion, while others felt it was his most vulnerable voice to yet. But one thing was certain: Jim wasn't done yet. Kay was using his melancholy to create music, and the fact that he was following Chrissy's pregnancy caused an instant cultural clash. Online hysteria sprang out, with memes taking over timelines. The viral TikTok displayed a split screen, with Chrissy rubbing her stomach on one side as Jim raps in the studio. The message said, "This ain't love and hip-hop no more." And just when fans thought it could get much worse, the biggest leak to date was discovered by an unnamed source. According to reports, Jim had already written his speech and planned to propose to Chrissy at the reunion ring he had already purchased. The pregnancy had now permanently closed the door, and Jim never had the chance because he was taken aback by Chrissy's wedding announcement first, the insider said. If that was true, it meant that Jim had been only a few seconds away from giving in to Chrissy's requests, only to experience the worst possible turn of events and lose her forever. The news spread like wildfire, and some people felt sorry for Jim, calling it the story of the greatest pain. The split grew more nastier, more uglier, and more personal as others ridiculed him, saying that his 20 years of delay was karma. This became lines of war. Fairness for Jim liked our Chris's pot. However, in spite of the misunderstanding, one thing was clear. Jim Jones was no longer a part of the story Chrissy was writing, and she had more in mind than just starting a family. Because when love turns into a legacy and heritage becomes loss, the following step is never modest, even if that fact was extremely painful for him, and everyone else was watching to see how he responded. If Jim Jones has anything else to say, it won't be silenced. It's explosive. The question that keeps coming back to everyone will be shouted: What happens when Chrissy leaves him and Marcus, her new husband, finally gets to see him in person? Internet people thought they had already seen the pinnacle, but the guy is still hurting from her past love for him. It has been verified that Chrissy is pregnant. Jim became quiet. Mama Jones dousing the fire with gasoline with her awkward live broadcasts. But just when fans thought this story couldn't get any more bizarre, fate delivered the moment no one saw coming. Very rapidly. The world couldn't take its eyes off Chrissy's new husband, Marcus Bellamy, as he stood face-to-face with Jim Jones. At first, there were reports of a private gathering to mark the anniversary of a Harlem community youth program. Unaware that there would be others, Jim and Marcus had each received individual invites, and Marcus was there as the keynote speaker. After all, he was the famous architect who was developing the city's new cultural centers. In other words, the arrangement was perfect for Jim's little performance, which was to include some old die-cut classics. Expecting chaos, the first blurry images surfaced late in the evening. Across the room from Marcus, Jim was dressed in a tight gray suit with gold and black sweatpants. Chrissy was shining by his side. The strain in the photo was thick enough to pierce with a knife. Fans quickly shared the image on Twitter, using terms like history and the stare-down we've been waiting for. Against the future, in a single frame. However, the image did not capture what happened when Jim finally exited the room. According to many witnesses, Jim strolled up to Chrissy and Marcus without hesitation. The audience fell silent and the drinks paused. Conversations ceased and Jim's words quickly eased the tension. "This guy is clearly anxious, Chrissy." He tried to step in. But Marcus didn't give up. "Not here, Jim." "Yes, I am the guy who arrived," he said calmly but forcefully. Gasps echoed across the room, and even those who weren't there realized they were seeing history as soon as they heard about the viral drama. A bystander's phone recorded the exchange, and the video swiftly gained popularity on Twitter. "This isn't love and hip-hop anymore," the person said. According to the message, Marcus finally checked Jim Jones. "This is real life." Jim struggled to keep his composure as emotions of rage, grief, and confusion mingled, and his face told the story. "It's nothing, like, and you really think you can come into my life and take away 20 years of it?" He became angry. Marcus did not flinch. He leaned in and spoke calmly, "And I didn't take anything. She waited while you disclosed it. You paused. She is currently working with me to create." Their comments spread like a nuclear explosion on the internet, and fans clipped them and repurposed them in memes and TikTok audios. She waited, and even though you broke the silence and altered the scenario, things didn't stay calm. A security guard tried to step in as Jim's voice rose, but Chrissy yelled, "Stop!" Her voice cracked with sobbing, and she clutched her stomach. "This isn't my intention. This kid. Not right now, this kid." That silenced the room. "Not while I'm carrying this child." The reality hit Jim again, and he melted for the first time, his eyes dropping to her stomach. The consequences were evident even though the video ended at that point. Every platform was flooded with hashtags like "on Chris's baby," "she waited you delayed," and "Marcus vs. Jim." One fan in the crowd said he said, "That was supposed to be us." Fans got into a never-ending debate. Marcus looked after them like a king, firm but cool and polite. Jim looked like he was broken. He wanted to smoke, but couldn't bring himself to be nasty to Chrissy. Chrissy needs to step in. That is pain in real time. The video was played over and over. The number of response videos on YouTube was overwhelming. Depressing R&B tracks were used in dramatic edits by TikTok's creators. Far away. Even celebrities take part in the conversation. A shade room with a laughing emoji was uploaded by 50 Cent. Laughing emoji was uploaded by 50 Cent. Remy Ma's tweet, "Sometimes the truth don't need a beat. It's just facts," was followed by the biggest surprise a few hours later. A second video was released backstage. In the grainy footage, Jim can be seen pacing and yelling at his employees, his voice breaking. "I'm not him. He doesn't know what we've been through. She is not only carrying my child, but also his history as well. This ain't music. This is my life," Jim mumbles when someone from Kimura inquires as to if he plans to come out with another song about it. The video was unpolished, brutal, and unsightly. Supporters weren't sure if they should feel sympathy or disdain. It proved that Chrissy was still Jim's favorite, some said. Others claimed it showed his focus on the past and his refusal to accept responsibility. Then came Chrissy's remark. In an exclusive interview with a women's leisure magazine, Chrissy made her pregnancy, her marriage, and her fight with Jim public for the first time. "I never wanted it to be ugly. I never wanted to make him feel inferior," she said. but I could not stay in limbo any longer. Not 25, not even 35 is my age. As a grown woman, I deserve a future, a family, and peace. I heard it directly from Marcus. I can't apologize for my decision to choose joy. The article went viral right away. What she said was screenshotted, shared, and examined by others. Fans praised her courage, calling it the resolution she deserved. But those who accused her of changing history pulled her along. "You were aware of the situation," with one responder commented. "Jim, you desired the notoriety."